The other day, I was walking through the grocery store with my mother. And as we were walking around, I noticed there was this kid that was kind of just walking around wandering by himself. Now, to give a little bit of context, I did see him walk away from his mother, and it looked like his sister or something like that. And he was walking in the direction of this guy that looked like it could be his father. You know what I'm saying? Once again, we're in the grocery store. I doubt anything crazy is going to happen, but I kept an eye out because, A, we live in a crazy world, right? Eventually, the kid caught up with his dad, and everything was hunky dory. Cool, right? But as I was walking around, I was really just thinking about that experience. I was like, yo, I'm really like watching after this kid as if he was my own. A little kid that was from a different ethnic background than me. I don't know this kid from anybody else, but I'm still ready to protect that child at all costs. That is our job as the adults, and I consider myself the young adult, but as the adults of this society, it is our job to do everything in our power to protect the children, not just our children, but all children. Even if they're not your seed, because that child just has such a wonder for life, just so full and vibrant, full of vitality, that they are the treasure to our world, and we are letting harm fall upon them because we are not doing our own due diligence. So let me back up real quick. As I was watching that kid, these like that, almost that parental part, that protector aspect of me was like really waking up for some reason, because I guess it was like an intuitive little nudge to think about this, to spread this message. You know, how can we protect our kids? Now, of course, there's put a tracker on their phone so we know where we're at. Make sure that their car, like if you just got that 16-year-old that just got their license, make sure their car is safe. Make sure it's not going to fall apart with them on the road and they're ill prepared for it. You know what I'm saying? We have to teach these kids, right? But it's also, of course, there's many different ways that we can protect our kids. But the one I wanted to focus on in this video was, we have to do our due diligence. We have to do our research. The older generations, you 40, 50, 60-year-olds out there and beyond, some of y'all really do abide by that old saying of, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. When anyone tries to teach you something that's outside of the norm that you've been living for the past few decades, you automatically ignore them. Just blah, 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 that's not the way I was raised, blah, 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 blah. And that's kind of sad, because you have to realize that we, as the youth and the kids younger than me, these kids out here are incredibly gifted when it comes to technology, because it's second nature to them. They were born with it. They were born with an iPhone and a tablet in their hand. They know how to manipulate the code. They know how to do the tips and tricks. They know how to do everything that will lap even circles around me, and I'm learning technology. You know what I'm saying? They just get it just like that. So they have avenues to things that they should or shouldn't be seeing and such. So that, of course, that's one way to protect the children. But we have to do our research on what they're looking into, because there's new characters out there. There's like, you got, like, I don't know a good example for the older generations. Let's just say, for example, let's keep it very simple. You got Judge Judy. You got, you got Montel Williams. You had those types of people out there, right? And I'm sure you had your controversial figures throughout the day. I can't think of people that far out right now. But then nowadays, we have, everyone is an influencer. Everyone is this. Everyone's telling what kids should and shouldn't be doing. Everyone has an opinion. Everyone's allowed to say there's peace and such. So we have to be careful. Now, I know this might get controversial, but this is how seriously I take this. And I'm not judging. I'm just saying, for the next time around, let's think a little bit more about what we do, because it's your job as a parent, especially, to protect your child. In 2020, we had a medical issue that, blanketed the world, right? If you catch my drift. And there were a lot of people that took a medicine, being very broad on purpose, but if you see where I'm getting at, you know what I'm talking about. You had them take a medicine to which you, as the parent, did absolutely zero research on. So some people behind the TV told you to go out there and give your kid this, and you just went out there and did it. You didn't look at the ingredients. Some of y'all still cannot list off what you just injected into yourselves. Would you trust me if I came up to you with this needle and said, this is going to help? Take this needle? No. Well, you got injected by someone to which you don't even know their name. You couldn't even tell me what they look like. You couldn't even tell me what their hair color is. But you allowed them to put something in your child's body without doing any research on your own. Some of you parents are doing your children a very large disservice because you are not researching what they are interested in. Some of these kids are into some stuff you didn't even know existed. Let's just use cryptocurrency, for example, right? And I'm going to start talking about that a little bit more on my channel, but it's like cryptocurrency is something that simply did not exist in your time. I mean, technically it did, but there were patents for it and such, but it wasn't popular yet. Anyway, it's like that technology simply did not exist, and this child is getting into that world. You know, these young people are getting to that world earlier and earlier because it makes more sense to them rather than the traditional way our money's been moving. They're doing this research, they're following these people, and they're putting money down in certain places and such. You as the adult, I don't care if your child is 20 years old. You're still a parent. You're still a big brother. You're still that person's favorite cousin. You're still that person that young child looks up to, even if you're not even related. You're just a family friend or something like that. And you see what they're getting into. Well, it's your job to protect that person. You know, it's your job to protect that youthful mind from being, exploited, for being scammed. So what should you be doing? Okay, my little cousin is into crypto. Let me do some research to make sure that there's nothing crazy going on here, But, the older generations, they act like they can't learn new things. So if you tell them that, they'll be, oh, cryptocurrency, oh, whatever. It's just that internet money. Okay. Okay. You know what I'm saying? You need to do your due diligence. If your child is into something and they're ready to put their passions behind it, support them. But also, it's still your job to guide, even if you are in a field that you know nothing about. Because even though that we as young people are more technologically savvy than you, and probably actually at an intellectual level, we are more intelligent than you, as we should be, because that is just simply evolution. You have more experience on this planet. You have more experience trusting your gut, using that intuition that maybe that young person isn't as practiced in. My brain's a little foggy, pardon me. But nevertheless, they have less experience using their gut, using their intuition, reading the room, reading the environment. So you as the adult, even though you don't know what's going on, you go, okay, so this thing, okay, let me go research this. Okay, I did a little bit of research, I did this and that. This is broad, but okay, I have a lay of the land now. Now I can just say, hey, okay, child, I don't know what it is that you're doing, but what are you investing in? Who's using it? Who are the partners? Is this just something that somebody on the internet just said, oh, this crypto's going to the moon, and you're throwing your money in it simply because you heard a guy say it? Or did you instill in your child or that younger mind, hey, okay, that one person says something, but go find another voice. Just because that person was loud and entertaining does not mean that they are the best for you. Sometimes you need to point the kid in that boring direction. Sometimes you just need to point that kid outside of their comfort zone. It's once again, this is all very situational, but you catch my drift. You protect your children by doing your own research. You protect your children by, breaking out of your comfort zone as the older individual and stepping down to their mental capacity and say, okay, I see where he's seeing this, okay, but then something just don't feel right about that. Go do your research on just that then. And then when you see your child walking down that dangerous path, and once again, that could be very subjective, but everyone has their own opinions on what's dangerous, what's not, what's good for them, what's not. But you just have to remember that it's our job to guide these children. It's our job to put these children on our shoulders so they can reach higher highs than we could ever imagine. That is our job. I kind of went around in a little bit of a circle there, but you catch my drift. Children are treasure. They are precious. Protect them. Till the next one.